The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need. It's never been easier or more affordable than right now to get the bathroom of your dreams. We have the best monthly programs in the industry with payments as low as $99 per month or no payments, no interest for 18 months with approved credit. The hardest part of your new bathroom is gutting and building the tub and shower. If your bathing area is old, there could be damage behind the walls and possible mold and mildew, which can be a serious safety issue. At BCI, we don't cover a problem, we fix it. Call now to get a never clean glass treated door with a no-track system at half off for the first 50 callers. Factory trained, certified installers made in the USA and discounts for seniors and military. Call 800-755-0466. That's 800-755-0466.
Welcome to the Turnpike Sports Spotlight. Dave Weishuttle with you. For anyone in the gambling and sports betting field, SBC is an incredible source of news and information on this fast-moving industry. As a gaming attorney myself, they are a crucial source of information, which allows me to do my job. And from May 6th to the 9th, they are having the SBC Summit North America in the Meadowlands Expo Center in New Jersey, covering all the important issues in the gambling world. And to tell us all about it, on the line we have Sue Schneider, Vice President of Growth and Strategy for SBC. Sue, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Always great having you on. I love it when you come on because I know SBC is such an important source of information for the betting community and anyone who's interested in the gambling world or gambling industry. But for those listeners who aren't familiar with SBC, can you tell us a little something about it? What is SBC?
Well, SBC got started in the UK probably, I don't know, at this point, maybe 15, 16 years ago.
Really? Okay, that long, huh?
Losing track.
Wow.
Yeah, and SBC for sports betting community. So it really started out as a networking type of events that they hosted for people in the industry. And then clearly it's grown since then. It's, you know, it's the primary things that it does are a variety of events. We do them in the North American one that's coming up in New Jersey. We purchased Canadian Gaming Summit. Mm-hmm. We have Casino Beat, which is more game oriented. Casino games in Malta in May. We have a LATAM focused one that oddly enough is in Miami, but people keep telling us they want to come there. So we've got it there, and that'll be in November. We have our global one in September in Lisbon now. We moved from Barcelona to Lisbon. Okay. And we just launched 3 weeks ago now, our first one in Rio. And because the Brazilian market, heating up there with
that's exploding. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were hoping to shoot for about 3,000 people. We got closer to 4,000 people at that one. So clearly right place, right time for that one. And then it has a whole series of media. As you mentioned, there are a lot of newsletters in different verticals, whether it's lottery or sports betting or payments or, various verticals within the industry. We've got an advisory service. We have just a variety of services that relate to the industry. We're pretty much kind of by and far and focused just within the industry. Most of it sports betting and iGaming related. The Canadian Gaming Summit, just because it's historically was also land-based, has more of a land-based component too.
It's incredible the amount of events SBC holds all over the world. And I'm curious, are the topics generally the same that are discussed at those conferences, or is the sports betting market different in Europe and South America than it is in the United States? How much different is the issues concerning the industry in those other countries?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the maturity level in those various areas. Obviously, in Europe, it's you've seen that industry grow, and it's much more mature. Whereas here, it's still relatively new. I mean, we're talking 5-6 years here, and then again, you get someplace like Rio where it's brand new.
Yeah.
So the topics, I think, typically are fairly similar in some. We cater a lot to both the operators as well as affiliate marketers. So that varies. For example, affiliate marketing in Canada is a little bit more of a challenge. And so, it varies in terms of, but most of the topics are the same. They're looking at how to recruit and retain customers, looking at marketing issues, look at regulatory issues, restrictions on advertising. There's a whole range of things that I think come into play. So, but it's pretty much for folks in all aspects. If someone's a payment specialist within their company or a marketer or whatever, we try to cover things that are going to be of interest to those, as well as we bring in a growing number, really, of regulators and some policymakers. When we start talking specifically about the North American event, I'll talk a little bit about that, because the policymakers are a critical part of this too. They're the ones making the frameworks for us to operate in.
How much more evolution do you think the sports betting community and industry, how much more do we have to go? I know there's always new policy coming out. It's still a young industry. And as you said, Rio and Brazil is just exploding. How much more evolution, and how much of the pace will we see the same pace as we did in the United States? I'm sure it has to slow down in the United States, but is it still evolving and still growing at an incredible rate?
It is. And, just for me personally, because I used to have a company very similar to SBC, I've been in this side of the business since 95. So I could kind of see the ups and downs as you go along. I mean, you typically have like a big gold rush kind of period, and then things begin to sort out a little bit. People find out that maybe it's not as easy as they thought. It's a particular challenge in the U.S. because of our regulatory structure, where most of that is done on a state level as opposed to federal. So there are huge compliance costs available for most of these operators as they go state by state by state by state. So, and that's one of the things that, we want to address too. Is there a way to get some consistency so that it's possible for these multi-jurisdictional operators to not have all their profits eaten into by trying to stay on top of the rules?
Now, I want to ask you about the SBC Summit North America being held in the great state of New Jersey, where I'm sitting right now. Give us an overview of some of the topics that will be highlighted during this year's SBC Summit North America.
Well, one of the things that we're doing is new, and that we're starting on Monday of that week, or we're starting a capital markets forum, because there's just a lot of interest from an investment standpoint in the industry. But again, there's ups and downs there. I mean, the last couple of years haven't been that easy for people that are looking for funding.
Sure.
So, it's can be a little problematic, and some of the institutional financing that goes on, even those guys are kind of hungry for information so that they can make good decisions. So that's new. We still have what we started a few years back, a player protection symposium, which is really, really critical. And then we've got, one of the things I did want to mention, back to the policymakers, we have a keynote by Sean Fluharty, who chairs the National Council on Legislators from Gaming States. Yeah. And they are taking on an effort to try to, come up with some best practices for what particularly an iGaming legislation might look like. And again, an attempt to try to get some consistency from one jurisdiction to the other. But, other than that, we really cover a lot of the things that I mentioned before, a lot of marketing stuff, partnerships with sports teams, a variety of things, because I think what's really critical about SBC is we try to bring together that whole ecosystem. So whether you're talking about the teams, the leagues, the operators, the suppliers, the regulators, the policymakers, all of those folks need to be in there to have some good discussion, to learn from each other.
You know, I told you last time you were on that I just love the topics that SBC has. Like you said, player protection, regulatory. You always talk about advertising and customer acquisition, retention, which are huge issues right now. And it's one of those things. Since I work in the industry, I mean, you should see my notes that I take during this conference. It's like I can barely see what I'm writing, that I'm trying to take so much notes because it's such great information. Yeah, no, it's such great information. I'm curious, how do you go about deciding what topics you're going to present? Because, like I said, they are such cutting edge, and these are the things you need to know if you're interested in gaming and sports betting industries.
Well, I think part of what helps with that is having the media side of the business, because we have, we put out a lot of editorial content, and we can see what is gaining people's interest. So to be able to kind of leverage that information, maybe there's something related to payments that's really critical, or, again, advertising restrictions or things like that. We can pretty much gauge what the topic levels are that are really of interest to people. And so that gets relayed over to the conference production team, who can help, kind of shape some of that and make sure they get both the right people as well as the right topics in place.
Now, you mentioned Sean Flaherty, who's been on the show several times, and you just love to hear him speak, because he is, I think, one of those legislators that are at the cutting edge of the sports betting and gaming industries. But who are some of the other speakers that we can expect to see when we attend the SBC Summit North America?
We really have, again, we focus a lot on the operators. So we've got, a number of people from various, just some of the, obviously the larger ones, the Caesars and MGM and all that. We've got Richard Swartz from, Rush Street Interactive, some folks from 888. So we really do focus quite a bit on, the operators that are out there, and they're surprisingly forthcoming. A lot of times you figure from a competitive standpoint, they don't want to put their information out there, but we get some really good nuggets from some of them to try to look at, how do they get through this. We have a leaders section that we have continued to develop out, and a leaders program. And so, typically you'll get 4 or 5 main CEOs from the some of the big operators, some of the next level operators, the smaller regional ones. We do a lot with tribal gaming. We actually have one afternoon that's a tribal gaming symposium, because now they're not as, when I had my company, you didn't really have much interaction with the tribes, because they were particularly cut out of all of that, just by nature of the way their gaming legislation is set up. And so they could only do things really on their reservations. But, what's happened over the years is you've either seen states now bring them into the option to be able to provide that. In some cases, like Michigan, those tribes have opted for, because they didn't want to change their compact per se, they opted to actually get a commercial license. So there are a lot of tribes that are now in the mix and are very, very hungry for information and making sure they do things appropriately.
Now, how will the overall conference be set up? Is it basically the same as last year, where you have panels and individual speakers? What can we expect to experience during the conference?
It's pretty much set up like that. We've got, that's a good question. I think it's 5 different tracks going. Yeah. So there's a lot of content. Yeah. And again, we've got the keynotes that are kind of more of a plenary session, but the rest of them are all broken out. We break out things like our first pitch competition, which is a startup competition. And we actually, that the applications on that close March 31st. And then our judging panel will get in. So we'll have presentations by the top 5 among that group. So that's always kind of fun. That's something that I'm working on more like for our Lisbon show. And we're really going to beef it up with some things that we've got cooking for over there. But, it's a really good opportunity then for some of the startups. And I keep running into these 20-somethings at these things that are just coming up with the most amazing ideas. Oh, yeah. And they have such energy, and they really see the potential. So, that's why it's kind of fun. And that's why it's important to bring the investors in too, because those are, ways for them to mix it up with them and to hopefully, put some deals together in that regard.
Now, as you said, there's a lot of content, and there's so much information just to absorb. And if someone misses a speech or a panel discussion, will you have an on-demand section where they can go to hear the presentation?
Yes.
Highlight your time.
Yeah,
okay.
But registrants, and again, we pretty much have to do that because we have so many tracks going, and people otherwise get frustrated. So first of all, bring other colleagues so that they can cover it too. But we do have SBC Connect Plus, so that afterwards, there's a situation where they can go back and plug into things that they weren't able to see. And then I also want to bring up, just it's a little bit off the conference, but as you well know, we like to do these sports activations. Yeah, we've done it at MetLife before, where you can get out on the field and try to kick a field goal or catch a punt return or whatever. So what we're doing this time is we have Red Bull Stadium, so you'll be able to check out your soccer skills at this point.
Oh, wow.
So
okay,
that's one thing I wanted to bring up, and that's the same night as the Hall of Fame, and I know you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got some really good people on tap for this year, and so it's a fun night. It's a fun night of celebration.
And another fun thing that you do is you have a section where exhibitors are there. And, it's such a fun thing to do, to see the new products in the gaming market and talk to all the exhibitors. I mean, I don't think I have to buy another pen in my life because I get to come up at every table. So,
right.
But will you still have the room full of exhibitors that you can walk through and talk to a lot of people?
Yeah, and we actually have started last year with an Expo Hall only pass. Now, it doesn't get you into the conference part, but nor the evening networking, but it does allow you to get on and see the suppliers that are there and take a look at what they have to offer. And we've got a great set of exhibitors again this year.
Well, you just mentioned networking, and I know there are a lot of great networking events at SBC Summit North America, and a lot of business gets done and a lot of meetings happen, and it's such an important place to go if you work or are interested in the gaming industry. Tell us about some of the networking events that you have at SBC.
Well, we typically have actually, let me back up for the capital markets thing. We're doing that at the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh, yeah.
So for people that attend that, there'll be a networking event after that, right there. So that'll be kind of fun. Tuesday night, we have our opening party. It's where you can come and pick up your badge. That's in New York City, actually. Wednesday night we have as I mentioned, the Red Bull and the Hall of Fame awards. And then Thursday night we have the, big awards dinner. So, there's plenty of opportunity. That's the one helpful hint that I give people that have never been to an SBC event. Don't get all booked up with outside dinners, because you're going to miss out. So, I think you probably can attest to that it just keeps going. We take care of you from morning till night and have pretty much kind of an all-inclusive type of arrangement, which is kind of rare in this industry. Yeah,
that's a good point. Pace yourself when you go there, because you have some great parties at these. Tell us about more of the parties, because it is so much fun to get together with the people that work in the industry as well. You can say a lot talking on the phone or a Zoom call, but it's great to be face to face with a lot of these people in some great party locations. Yeah.
And again, I mean, I'm obviously a big advocate of face-to-face. That's why it was really hard during COVID to, I have to say SBC was much more nimble than I would have been during that period. And they really leaned into having virtual events so that when they could open back up again, they just hit the ground running with that. But again, my favorite is the activations on the sports field, and especially this year, because I actually was a recreational soccer player for about 40 years. I finally retired a couple of years ago, so I'm ready to get out there. Not that I'm any good after all that time.
You just put pressure on yourself. Now everyone's going to be watching you on the field. So
well, it's got to be better than the football. I looked like I was skipping rocks when I tried to hit the field goal, but it was sad.
But you mentioned the SBC awards. That's always a big part of the conference. Tell me about some of the awards and some of the awards that are going to be presented that night.
Well, and I wish I knew more about that because I really don't know the categories. That's why I'm more involved with the Hall of Fame than I am in the actual awards part. But it's first of all, it's a very fun evening in terms of just the camaraderie that's there. There's dining tables that you're there with colleagues and or competitors even. So it's just a fun evening. It's a way to celebrate, to recognize the people that really have moved things forward in the industry. So that part's fun.
Well, let me ask you about the Hall of Fame. You mentioned it. SBC is inducting 6 people, I think, into the Sports Betting Hall of Fame during the conference. Yeah. Who are the inductees for 2024?
We have a couple of folks out of Las Vegas. A lot of our Hall of Famers are guys that have been in the business in Las Vegas for a long time. And so we've got 2 that kind of fit in that category, Richie Becciolari and Jay Cordigay, who is currently with Westgate. And both of those are longtime legends in Las Vegas. We have Mike Tobin, who is with Continent 8, and he's been in the business since 98, I believe is when they started, and has really done a lot with the infrastructure. I mean, they make sure that the internet works, and that you're not going to, have downtime. And so, looking at that, it's kind of like in the past we've inducted a gentleman from Sport Radar. I mean, those kind of infrastructure companies are really critical to making things flow right. So we wanted to do that. We have Stacey Alonso, who actually worked for many, many years with station casinos companies and as their marketing person. So she's got a really long history. And she also was a commissioner with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So she knows things from that side too. And the integrity issues and all that. We also added Christian Janetsky, who's president of FanDuel. He's kind of like our next gen kind of person that we're adding in because he's just done a lot to see things move forward with statewide legalization in that regard. So, and then lastly, this is our first posthumous award, but John English, who just passed away last month, and is an absolute legend in Las Vegas, and particularly on the internet side. So we're going to be honoring him, and some of his family is going to be there to accept that. So that'll be a very emotional one, I think.
Yeah. And the induction ceremony is happening during the conference. When and where is that being held?
That'll be Wednesday night at Red Bull Arena.
Okay.
And so that, we typically have kind of a happy hour type of thing. Then we go into Hall of Fame, and then, people can, again, get out on the field at that point. So it's a whole evening of really celebration there in terms of, again, recognizing folks that have really made a great contribution to the industry.
You mentioned it before, but I just want to ask you about the first pitch competition because it is such a great idea and it's such a great thing SBC does for the sports betting industry. Tell us about that because it's an amazing opportunity for startups to really get a foothold in this industry.
Well, it is. And we've got, they have to be relatively new. I think it's since 20 or 21. And they, there are really very early stage startups. They do have to have a product, to illustrate. But, other than that, it's folks that are not that far into the business, and it's an opportunity for them to showcase with our judges, which tend to come from, VC firms and things like that, and an opportunity for people to watch those and get a sense of, here's the new greatest thing that's coming up down the road. Because as I mentioned, a lot of the young folks that are coming in are just coming up with some really, really good ideas.
So if someone wants to register for the SBC Summit North America, where would they go to do that? And where is it being held again in SBC Summit North America?
Yeah, it will be again at the Meadowlands in Exhibition Center, not the racetrack, at the Exhibition Center in Secaucus, New Jersey. So, right, some people opt to stay in New York City, some stay over closer to the facility, but we do provide transportation to our evening events. So, it's we're busting at the seams there, to be honest with you. I mean, we use the garage, we use everything. So I think this probably realistically is our last year there, but it's, it's a good spot for us. It's good, facility in that it's not too big and it's easy to find people. We have a pretty good networking app that we offer, and that's already, I got notification of that this morning. That's already open so that you're in in the ability to actually connect with other people that are there.
I got to tell you, the app was great. I mean, it's a place to meet people and talk to people, and the app just facilitates that perfectly. So you guys did a great job on the app.
Glad to hear that.
Yep.
I mean, those have just become the norm, really, if you attend many events. So it's important to have that so that it works out well.
Yeah, you see a lot of people staring down, walking around, looking at their phone. So, be careful where you're walking, too, using the app. So
as always.
Yeah.
Always.
But now I know people like to make plans well in advance. Are there any SBC events that we should know about in the coming months or in the coming years?
Well, I do think, again, for people that are interested in Canada, we have that in June. Mm-hmm. And so if you go to Canadian Gaming Summit or just, you ask about how someone can get involved with this one, if they just Google SBC North America, that'll bring them right to where they need to go. And then that way it's, from there, you can look at kind of the array of options to register. We do have a couple of other meetups that are going on. We have some roundtables during the conference part. Mm-hmm. We have a global gaming women breakfast that we've been doing for a couple of years now. We have a tribal gaming meetup. So, we really try to cater again to that whole range of kind of components of the industry or verticals within the industry. So it's a fun time.
By the way, you used the word cater, and I just want to say to everyone, you bring in the greatest food. You had a donut wall last year, so that was impressive.
One of my favorites.
Well, I took a picture of it. It was great. But
it was perfect for like mid-afternoon when you're looking for a little rush.
Coffee and donut. Yeah, perfect. But Sue, we're running out of time, but can you tell us again when the SBC Summit North America is and how people register for the conference?
It'll be May 7th through the 9th. And again, it's at the Meadowlands Exhibition Center. And again, if they just, rather than giving them a URL, if they just Google SBC North America, it'll get them to the right spot. And then if you go to register on there, then, you can that'll bring you to a couple of options for you, depending on your budget and what all you want to take advantage of. But I do encourage people, not that the expo only is not a good idea because it's the most reasonably priced, but there's so much value to the conference and the networking side of it that, it's worth considering going for the full package to be able to take advantage of those.
Sue Schneider, Vice President of Growth and Strategy for SBC, thanks so much for coming on and telling us all about the SBC Summit North America being held from May 6th to the 9th in the Meadowlands Expo Center in New Jersey. It's going to be an incredible conference, and I urge everyone to check it out. Thanks for coming on and telling us all about it, and I'll see you there.
Great. Sounds good. Look forward to it.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.